Welcome back, everyone, to episode 11 of gamingti. I'm Imani.
And I'm Tristan.
Today, we're going to be talking about cheat codes and mods and some of the, I guess, less quote-unquote allowed aspects of games that allow us to have a little bit more fun with them. Yeah, let's just start talking about it. For example, do you know what one of the earliest well-known cheat codes were? I mean, it's pretty common. Everybody kind of knows it. You want to take a guess?
An early cheat code. Is it something obvious?
Yeah, we're talking about one of the earliest known examples. It's not even like a trick question.
I feel like it is a trick question, though. The way asking it, he was like, "Dude, you're supposed to get this, all right? If you don't get this, you're an idiot."
It's
But
I'm just talking about some up down. You know where I'm going with this.
Oh, it's like,
Oh man, you drawing a blank, huh?
Yeah.
Let me help you out.
Drawing a blank.
We're talking about the original cheat code. I mean, again, there were other cheat codes that came before it, but 1986 was kind of the year when the Konami code was first introduced, and it's simple. It's up, down, left, right, BA, start. That kind of has become a very popular cheat code used in so many different video games and referenced and so on. That was one of the original cheat codes, the Konami code, created by Konami developer. I think his name was it's a Japanese name, so forgive me. Kazuhisa Hashimoto. There we go.
And
it was
in a weeb shown true.
I think I did the Japanese proud. But I think he started porting games in 1985, and he started with Gradius. He basically inserted the Konami code because the game was really difficult and he didn't play it that much, and there was no way that he could finish it. So he made a cheat to help him finish the game.
The developer cheats at his own game.
Basically. So, again, cheats nowadays are very different, especially since gaming has evolved in general to being very much online and multiplayer. So, unfortunately, cheats have kind of been... Would you say that they're like outlawed in a sense? It's how do you perceive the world of cheats?
I wouldn't say it's outlawed completely, but I would say a lot of people see it as unethical. And I'm referring to, of course, in like single player games. Like I'm assuming that's what you were talking about, because the up, down, left, right, BA, start. I remember entering that in some games, but I can't remember what game exactly.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it was like kind of just scattered throughout. It became a staple. Sign language, it's American Sign Language. Everybody, no matter what language you speak in the world, chances are if you're doing sign language, it's ASL, so like everybody kind of adopted it. Yeah, that's one of the original cheat codes. And for example, I think I remember using that, or at least a very similar version of that, in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2. Again, I think I spoke about this on a previous episode. When we opened the game, most of the times we did it just because like if we forgot our memory cards and we didn't have any game data, and it's like, I don't want to play with these super slow crappy cars, you just enter that code at the start menu, modifies the coding of the game ever so slightly. It unlocked a really nice car, fast car. We had fun with that fast car, and that's one of my first memories of cheat codes. And then of course San Andreas. That was there's a book on cheat codes in San Andreas.
Yeah, that's like the holy grail of cheat codes, right?
Yep.
That's on Vice City.
There was that one cheat code that me and my friend used to use. I think there was a flying one. I remember that. Then there was an invincibility one, and then my favorite one, make everything explode. So I would just turn on invincibility, because like if you don't have one invincibility, I remember the first thing we used to do, piss off the cops, get to heat the fifth 5 stars, then just wait for everybody to rush, and then be like, all right, I think it's time to kill everybody. And the psychopath was born.
I used to enter cheat codes in Vice City more to get like like the cool cars and stuff. Because like even back then, I was more like I wasn't like into Vice City that much for the first person or like well
Hmm.
third person shooter aspect or anything. It
Right.
was just like to drive around in a car or like and just like do dumb shit
Yeah. I
because
mean, that's what Grand Theft Auto was all about. It's in the
yes,
name.
exactly. So so being able to do it in like a ridiculous guy like a tank or something, it was just so much fun.
Yeah, I mean it's really crazy because again, cheats started off as a way for developers to playtest games and so on. So you could imagine where you get Grand Theft Auto Vice City and you're testing it and you want to test a specific car, but then you don't want to go looking for this car or having to buy the car because so you just enter that cheat code and boom, the car appears. And it's like, all right, I could test it, I could look around it, I could make sure it works. And it was just one of those things where if we're using it for play testing, we might as well just leave it in there. Like there's no harm.
Yeah, why not, right?
Somebody's got to know about it before they exploit
Exactly.
it.
Yeah. But somehow, even back then, people figured it out. Like I have no idea how people back then, like before the internet, not before the internet, but before the internet
Hmm.
was what it is now, and before you had the ability to look into the game
I
files,
mean, I guess certain
because
people
well,
had that capability, but you had to be like really, you had to be techie to or tech oriented to be able to do
yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, were people looking into the game files back then? Like, I always think of that as a new thing. I don't know why, but maybe people have been doing it for longer than I thought.
No, I think people have been doing it for a long time. I don't know in the specific cases of like San Andreas or Vice City if people were doing that. Actually, yeah, I do wonder like how did people find the cheat codes in Vice City or San Andreas?
That's I would really like to figure that out, yo. Like, just cheating on the whole has always fascinated me. Just because I don't know if this is something that people would frown upon,
Right.
but in the Pokemon games, I used to cheat all the time. Like I used to get in like if there was a Pokemon that I wanted to find, like really, really hard to find, but you can get it, but it's just like a real pain and it's not fun, then I'll cheat them into the game.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I have to pull teeth to kind of unlock this, right?
Yeah. But like how do you figure out that you can do that?
So for the case of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, apparently shout out Edison Carter, who was apparently somebody on the GTA forum, and the way he found the cheat codes was essentially he wired a PS2 controller up to a PC's parallel port and essentially had the PC input a like numerous combinations at an extremely high speed. That's just the basics of it, and that's how a bulk of cheats were discovered because the cheats were not officially released by Rockstar.
Shout out to that dude. You made the game really fun.
Yeah, honestly, I wonder if that pissed off Rockstar. They're like, damn it, like who did this?
I don't think it did because look at GTA 5. Like those things are just like the ridiculous things you used to do in the old GTA games. You could just normally do in GTA 5.
But again, I think it's one of those cases where maybe something became a feature because they liked how the public like liked it. I guess without a
Yeah,
better way of saying it.
they liked how the public received it.
Right.
So it's because most people who I talk to uh about Grand Theft Auto, they talk about the cheats
Hmm.
and how much fun it was to do these insane things in the game. And how the game then like it's not a game that takes itself seriously. Like even though it has a somewhat serious story, you could do silly crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, games are fun to an extent. Like playing it within the bounds of what's dictated. Yeah, I mean, it's fun, but I think what gives games sometimes replayability and the fact that you want to keep coming back to it and trying stupid stuff, cheats helps with that because it's like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm playing outside of the bounds of how I'm supposed to be playing this. Like humans are weird, man. It's like we
Yeah.
like something to the extent of how can I break it? Like that's almost everything. It's like all right. I mean, this is great for the first 5 minutes. How like can I break it now?
It's like, it would be cool if it were this exact thing, but not.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I remember even Mario Kart had cheat codes because you could unlock certain characters and cars and bikes and stuff straight away. Super Smash Bros had some cheat codes I remember.
Really? To have cheats on Smash?
Yeah.
I never used cheats on Smash.
I mean, it was one of those things where it's like you could unlock special I think it was you were unlocking special attacks for characters by using cheat codes, and then also like the fact that you can unlock every single character straight away instead of having to earn them, you know. Where it's like, oh, here's a
Uh,
new fighter and then you have to beat them, and you could go about it the normal way, or you could just unlock everybody. I feel like again, cheat codes also came out of like they were very convenient. Again, it was one of those things where back in the day, if you forgot your memory card somewhere, it's like, oh, I mean, I already did all of this stuff. I don't want to do it again. So, cheat code.
boom. Easy.
Yeah. And
Mm.
of course, you know, that comes with its own negatives because there are a lot of people who probably don't get the full play value out of something because I see cheat codes as extended play value.
Yeah, same. Same. Like, there were a few games that I was playing. I can't remember it exactly, but it was a game that I had on either on my PlayStation 1 or on the GameCube. I really can't remember the exact name of the game. I got to this point where I had to fight this boss, and I could not pass.
Mm.
I could not pass, and I kept trying and trying and trying and trying. I could not pass until eventually I just stopped playing.
Yeah. Yep.
There was more to the game, but I couldn't get past. I don't know, maybe I was like 10 at the time. My 10-year-old self could not, I did not have the tools to get past this.
My mental capacity wasn't there yet.
It was not there. I could not get past this boss. I think it was like a few games that happened in.
Mm.
And I just like, all right, I'm not gonna keep doing this. So I just stopped.
Became frustrating.
Yeah.
Right.
I think what happened is I just like just to get away from that frustration, play a next game and then just get hooked on that next game.
Right.
So maybe that is why you use a cheat just to continue enjoying the game, just like not get. I feel like if you get to that point where you're just so frustrated that you don't want to play the game again, then a cheat is kind of justified.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless of course it's a online game. It's like if
Then,
you
because it starts ruining the experience for other people, right?
yeah, because like if you're a bronze player in a ranked online game and and you can't get past other players, then you just need to get good.
Yeah. I mean, but then even if you're, you know, top tier platinum, master, grandmaster, anything, obviously I'm using Overwatch ranking references here, but even if you're up at that skill level, you shouldn't use cheating because then the other people are like, you know, it's one of those things where it's like the other people are playing fair and square. You're ruining their experience playing the game in an unfair way.
Yeah, I never understood cheating in online games. Like, like cheating in single player games just came real natural to me. But in the thought never even occurred to me to cheat in a multiplayer game until I saw someone cheat, and I'm like, wait, what? You could cheat in multiplayer game? Until I see someone like I think they were aimbotting and speed hacking in
Ah,
Rest in Peace Dirty Bomb,
right.
and and it's like really, and I was horrible at that game. Like when I first started playing, because it was my first shooter, I
Yeah.
was horrible. I think the first ranked season of that game, I got bronze.
Ooh, you were a bronze boy.
Yeah, I was terrible. But the thought never occurred to me to cheat, just because it would feel so hollow.
Right. Victory would feel hollow.
Exactly, because I didn't get better than anyone else to achieve my rank, right? And like in a single player game, it's different because okay, I couldn't beat the boss, I cheat, but it's not about for me playing a single player game. It's not about the the feeling of accomplishment of beating the game or anything like that. It's just about enjoying the game.
Right. It's less
And
about the outcome and more about the actual process of playing the game and having fun.
yeah, that's why like when I play a single player game, I like to play good looking single player games.
Hmm.
Or just even if it's not like graphically intensive or anything like that, just have like a good style.
Right.
Something I could look at. Simply because it's for me it's not about the the end goal in a single player game. It's about the experience.
About the journey.
Yeah. But in online, it's so different because it is about the accomplishment because you are going against people that are at your skill level, and to climb up from whatever rank you are, you need to be better than them.
Right. You're at the end of the day, you're fighting in video games. Naturally, you're playing to have fun, right? In single player games, you're playing to have
Yeah.
fun. But in multiplayer games, yes, having fun is one of the main aspects, but technically it's just about being the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The reason why you play online is to be better than someone else out there.
Yeah. Basically.
So, yeah, I mean, that's why cheating, because cheating again, then it makes that playing field very uneven. It's not level anymore.
Yeah.
And it's funny because even so, like some games like Doom, if they detect that you're using cheat codes, it displays like sarcastic messages from the programmers on screen. It would be funny if online games were to take that same approach, like, huh, have fun being banned.
That would be dope, yo.
I would
Like
totally.
imagine someone like is cheating and streaming.
Oh, and we've come. I'm not gonna call out any specific names, but we've come across people like that where they leave their they might have their overlay come up on screen where they're using wall hacks or something, and people are like, "Wait, what? Huh? Did I just see what I think I saw?"
Mm.
And then of course they get ripped a new one, and they have an online death.
I think there was a CS:GO player that got banned mid tournament, like mid game in a tournament. They banned him
That's
for cheating.
I mean, that's what should happen. You get that online. It's almost kind of like having tomatoes thrown at you after you like while you're performing.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. I wonder if that's still a problem because like that was talking about the pro player that got banned. That happened a few years ago,
Right.
like a good few years ago. So I wonder if that's like still a thing. If pro players still cheat, if there are any pro players that are cheating right now.
Yes, 100%. And the reason why I say that is because it happens in all areas of society where you only ever hear about the people who make it, or you only ever hear about the people who get caught. So it's one of those things where I think there will always be people who are cheating, but you just won't hear about them and the reason why you don't hear about them is because they haven't been caught. They haven't made it to the headlines of being caught, but they are. I think it would be nearly impossible to completely stop cheating, even in online games.
Hmm. But like, don't they play tournaments on like the local LAN and like they can't bring? Are they able to bring their personal rigs? They're not able to, right?
No,
They can't
but
bring their own.
there are people who so I know another way to cheat or use hacks at LAN tournaments is, funny enough, there are people who can program it into their mouse.
Oh my god, that's disgusting.
Yeah. And then it runs it's like having macros built into your mouse, but also having an extended version of it. Like there's like, you can have cheats on that little wireless dongle. Like there's ways of doing all kinds of stuff like that. Somebody got caught with like that because it's like one of those things where it's like you plug it in and then, you're setting up and all of that stuff. And then you just run a quick line of code. It executes and yeah, it's like super quick. So there are people who do that.
Right, that makes sense because they can't provide a mouse because that'd be at a disadvantage.
Exactly.
And
Sensitivity,
the
all of
mouse,
that, like, and
yeah,
mouse weight, all of that stuff is, all these little
yeah,
things that normal people or average people might not consider becomes factors at higher level of play. And that's, across all sports, not just esports.
yeah. I mean, even me, yo, like when I get a new mouse, it takes a while to get accustomed to the weight of it.
Mm-hmm.
answer, like just like the sensor. If it's a different sensor from my past mouse. That's why, like when I'm buying a new mouse, I will look at the sensor technology just to make sure it's the same sensor from my last
Right.
mouse.
So that way you're compatible essentially.
Yeah, so I just plug in my DPI and like, that's it. I just need to get accustomed to the weight. That's just one less thing to get accustomed to.
Right. Like I'm pretty sure for swimmers, maybe not the the amount of I don't know how slick the water is, because it's like if once you add chemicals to water, it changes the consistency and all of that. So yeah, I'm sure that matters to them too.
I wonder, yo. I don't feel like athletes who play sports on grass, like football or something like that. Like the height of the grass, how wet the grass is, that matters for
And even
them.
if it's real grass or fake grass, if it's
Yeah,
turf
if
or
it's yeah, just the feel of it. Even if it's not a sport like football or soccer where the ball moves around the ground, like just running on
Mhm.
it, if it feels uncomfortable, it's like, all right, no.
Yep. Yep. And again, it's like those little factors, that it's crazy how just the small things can matter, like especially at higher levels, because I really think it comes down to differentiating those little small aspects that start to, like, that's the reason why pros are pros. They're able to take advantage of those little tiny aspects that can change the outcome of something. They understand that.
Cheating as a pro though, like that's got to feel
Slimy.
icky.
It's like the
Yeah,
opposite of imposter syndrome.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
imposter syndrome is like I'm not meant to be here. I'm not good enough to, like, I don't feel like I'm good enough to be here, when in reality you are. But
And the reality is you don't belong there because you don't belong there.
yep, you're faking it. You're faking it to make it seem like you belong there, and you got to have some strong conviction to fake it for. Although I wonder how many people cheat and then the only reason they continue cheating is because, shit, like I got people watching me now. Damn, like
I wonder. I think a lot of people who cheat won't stop unless they get caught.
But again, like, why is that? Is it a case of they were cheating in the first place to make a name for themselves, or were they cheating because, like, that's just how they were playing and they didn't expect to? I'm not necessarily talking about pro players now, but maybe streamers. Maybe there were some people streamers who cheat because it was just how they played. They were like, whatever, I'll have fun with this, I'll cheat, whatever. And then all of a sudden they had a bunch of people watching them. It's like, shit, people think I'm good. I kind of have to, like, keep this up.
Yeah, but mm, but when you get to that point, right? Which that would feel so disgusting. When you get to that point and you have like, let's say you have a big stream, a bunch of people are paying to watch you play just because of how good you are. At that point, you won't say, okay, maybe time to stop cheating, or maybe just like not stream.
But again, you got to ask yourself, for the people who that becomes their jobs, that becomes their main source of income, and it also becomes like just a place for them to be and exist, with other people.
What I'm saying is like it should never get to that point. Like as from the first time someone subbed to you and you realize it's like, yo, this person gave me their money because they think I'm good at this game. And then I'm not. I'm cheating.
Well, I mean, that's a moral dilemma. I mean, I could see how some people would twist the truth, though. They'd just be like, oh, I mean, they're watching me because I'm entertaining. I mean, and sometimes it might also be the case. It's like, whoa, like, wow, I got a sub. Like, that's big. I gotta keep getting more. It becomes like I want
Just
more.
like the rush from it.
Yeah.
The rush from it, you just keep the needed. Not even the money really, just the rush of
It's like
the
people are watching.
attention you got.
Exactly. And I really think that that's kind of a thing in society right now. It's that attention, right?
Mm. Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of reasons why people cheat. So never gonna be able to name them all, but cheating in multiplayer games, at the end of the day, it's pretty scummy.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever encountered a cheater? I know you haven't been playing PC for that long.
Um,
I don't know how much cheating there is in console.
there isn't much. Like, it's funny. Like, the way cheating gets defined on console versus PC is a little bit different, which sounds strange, right? But for example, so I'll ask you this. can I define cheating as someone having an unfair advantage due to, some specific thing? Would you agree that that's what cheating is?
You're a little vague there, but I mean, from the time you say unfair advantage, but I guess yes, but an unfair advantage could be smoothing. I don't think, and I don't really consider smoothing to be cheating that much.
Interesting.
It's scummy, but I don't really consider it to be
So
cheating.
it's like the lines are blurred there a little bit, right? I mean, it's not cheating, but it kind of fits some of the definition of cheating.
It's definitely unethical, but it's just like a it's just a shitty thing to do.
Right.
But I wouldn't say it's cheating.
So the reason why I asked that is because for a period of time when playing console Overwatch, as console players, we use a controller and we have one thumb to control our aim. I mean, if you're really good and use a claw grip, you can use your thumb and your index finger. But generally speaking, like 90% of players have one thumb to control their aim. People were plugging in PC peripherals, aka a mouse and keyboard, into the PS4, and it was in early days of Overwatch on console. If you saw someone using Widow, it was almost a guarantee that they were plugged in. And then it was a case of it gave them that unfair advantage, and it was akin to cheating, strangely enough.
I would say that is cheating. Like using a mouse and keyboard against people playing with controller, I would say that is cheating.
Right. But you see, like, so,
Definitely.
but then define why it's cheating.
Because you have an unfair advantage.
You see what I mean, right? It's like, and it's the same thing I said. Like, you have an unfair advantage due to a thing. That thing could be anything. It could be actual
It's an
lines of code, or it could be a physical.
yeah, it's an external factor. It's a fact. Okay, I would define cheating as using a external factor that's not part of the natural game flow or game code or something like that.
All right. So then let me ask you this. Does having a PS4 Pro playing at 120 FPS compared to a regular person playing at 40 to 60 FPS, that gives them an somewhat of an unfair advantage? I mean, I guess it depends on how you define unfair. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. It's like, where does the boundary of cheating start and end?
Well, with that example you give, that's not just like on console. As I would say, that would be less of a factor, but on PC, that's a huge factor because most people still use 60 hertz displays,
Right.
and well, like I have a 144 hertz display, and I can I can definitely say that it is an advantage to have a 144 hertz display, especially when you're playing certain heroes like snipers. Like I could not play sniper until I got a 144 hertz display because you see things clearer and faster.
So then, is that,
Especially when
according to the definition that we've been trying to define, is that cheating?
I won't say that's cheating simply because you have that tool as well. It's not like it's not like that's something that you can't get, or like it's banned from the game.
But then you can say the
It's like
same thing about a mouse and a keyboard on console. Technically, anybody can get
no,
it.
no, that's different because I remember that story about the mouse and keyboard connecting to the PS4. The PS4 doesn't naturally accept that.
Yeah, it
You need
does
to
actually.
actually put in. What do you mean it does? Like in the game, don't you have to put in like an extra code or something like that?
Okay, in
Or
the
like
game, yeah, but like, I mean, the PS4 does naturally accept it, but in game, I think, yeah, you do have to take some extra steps.
right, that's what I'm saying. But like I could just like plug in my 144 hertz monitor and it just works. There's actually settings in the game that tells me, hey, do you want to play at 144 hertz? And it says, I could just say, yeah, I do.
But there was a period in time in, again, that's why I like specifically stated early Overwatch. I think it's still banned to now, but they did only outlaw it after a certain period of time. So I guess they were in that gray zone where it's like, it's cheating, but it's not kind of thing for a while.
I guess you could. I guess the way you could justify it as not being cheating is you will get like if you play seriously, if you play normally, you will get to a point where having that advantage won't matter anymore
Mm,
because let's say you're an average player with keyboard and mouse, and then you get to like grandmaster level where the controller players are almost as good or just as good as you or even better than you, even though you have that advantage. So yeah, you would be higher ranked than average. Like if you were like let's say you were a platinum mouse and keyboard player on PC, then you go on console and you get to masters.
right.
I would say the only way you could justify it as not being cheating is like you get to that rank and you're about at the same skill level technically, like in that bubble, in that situation, as the people around you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good way to put it. It's very contextual, though. Like, I'm trying to think of what is a simple, or the question now is there a simple one sentence fits all that defines cheating?
Mm, I mean, I'm sure you could Google it and find something, but I would say, I mean, I don't have an exact sentence, but you know when, like you just like speed hacking,
Mhm.
yeah, that's cheating. Aim button, yeah, that's cheating. There are like cut and dry things that are cheating, and there's no leeway. There's no like a skill or like no question about saying like is it cheating, is it not cheating? No,
Right.
no. Aim button, cheating. Speed hacking, cheating. Wall hacking, cheating. Because it gives you.
I mean, I think that there definitely are certain things that it's like it can be clear cut. All right, this is cheating. You've taken so many extra steps that are outside the realm of norm that you can't. Maybe cheating comes down to intent. Maybe it comes down to intent. It's like if you are doing something right, if you are modifying something, for example, in the game, like lines of code or running an external program to help you get better with the intent of beating other people, then I guess you can, define that as cheating.
That language is kind of weird because okay, well look at this, right? Let's say I okay, I don't know if you remember this, but like early days of Apex, there was like a low texture
Yeah.
mod that you could put into the
Hmm.
game, and like that mod, it prevented you from seeing like the bangle of smoke. So like if you smoke somebody and they can't, like normally you wouldn't be able to see anything through the smoke, but that mod just didn't render the smoke. Now that mod, I would say okay, yeah, that's cheating, right?
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah, of course. It's an unfair advantage in a what's supposed to be a more even situation. Yeah. You are directly disabling an ability, essentially.
All right. But let's say to our next point, let's say someone who suffers from color blindness and the game doesn't have any colorblind options. So they put a mod into the game to help them see colors.
Mm.
They are modifying the game to
With the intent of getting better, yes.
with the intent of getting better.
Ooh. Yeah, you see, it's a very gray area, isn't it? Like, again, I think that there are very, yes, clear cut cases of cheating, aim bots. But if we want to give the technical definition of cheating that can be applied to everything, it's harder than it seems.
Yeah. But I think when you say cheating, most people know what you're talking about. It's like aim button, wall hacking, speed.
Right.
That's cheating. Yeah. And like in games like I don't even know what cheats you do in like MOBAs. What are MOBA cheats?
I don't know if there many MOBA cheats?
I mean I would think like people as long as there's a game, people find a way to cheat at it, Like people just
That's true.
I don't know. I don't know. People just they don't want to work to get better at the game. I don't understand the mindset of a cheater, honestly.
Hmm.
Like why is that rank so important to you? Because that's what they're cheating. That's what they're cheating on an online game for, right? To get that rank. It's a rank that means nothing.
Uh, I think there's a lot of
It's fake points. It's kind of like likes or like
but that's what I'm
upvotes.
saying. I was about to say, so we're about to step a little bit outside of the realm of just video games here and get a bit more societally philosophical here. I really think it comes down to like, yes, while realistically speaking, it does not offer an advantage, how much of what humans do in general kind of directly correlate to reality. You know, it's one of those things where I think having that rank, yeah, that rank technically means nothing, but at the same time, neither does the medal that you receive after winning anything. It's like a concept, you know, it's a societal concept that it's like, all right, that means you're better. So it's less about actually being better for most people and more about being perceived as being better. You know, I feel like as humans, we think more about how we're perceived than what we give off, you know, or like, you know, for other people to perceive us. It's less about I know who I am and more about who do you think I am.
Mm.
And I think that that's where cheating in general comes from. You know, it's that desire to be perceived as something more than what you are. And it's because of that lack of security of who you are, and you gain that security from other people. That's what kind of encourages you to cheat.
That is very philosophical indeed.
I told you. But I really think that that's it. I mean, what do you think?
Like I was just saying, I don't have any idea why you would want to cheat. Like the thought of cheating just never occurred to me.
So then let's break it down to the absolute basics. Why do you play?
To have fun.
That's the main reason. Why do you play ranked?
Uh,
Because as Shroud famously said, I'm not having fun, but I want to play again.
uh, I play rank to win, like to assess my skill. Really, I play rank to assess where I am in comparison to other people, and if I'm not happy with that assessment, then I'll improve to get better. Like I'll practice to improve,
Mhm.
get better, go back play rank again.
So I think the way it might work for other people is I think they might go down two paths. It's either they start playing the game at first with the intent of, yeah, I'm here to have fun. And then they lose so much that they're just like, this isn't fun. Because I think we derive fun a lot of the times, especially in competitive things, by beating the other person, by being better.
It's not fun if you don't win.
Yes, exactly. Which is why I don't play FIFA with you anymore. Like, you see what I mean?
Did you really uninstall them?
I mean, I plead the fifth.
Yeah. Oh god. No, but it's
I think it comes down to like a moral responsibility at the end of it. It's like, even if I'm not having fun because I'm losing too much, chances are I'm not willing to sacrifice the enjoyment other people are having to obtain that fun. I'll just do something else. Whereas for certain people, it might be a case of I need to win to have fun. It's like that's stuck in there, that's ingrained in them. And
but okay, no, continue, finish.
and so I need to win to have fun, and that's ingrained in them. And if it's one of those cases where it's like it's about me, you know, that person's thinking, I don't care about anything else than about anybody. Like they don't see themselves as being responsible for other people's enjoyment of the game. They're just saying like, I'm responsible for my happiness and I want to win, so I'm gonna beat everybody regardless of the cost that it might incur on other people.
All right, but like I have a counterpoint, right? Because if it's just winning is the fun part, have you ever like in a single player game, like we established earlier that Like cheating in a single player game, it's not awful. It's like I think it's fine, honestly, cheating in a single player
Yeah.
game. But have you ever loaded in a cheat to a single player game and just be like, this is not fun because of how easy it is?
Well, I'll say yes, but then I'll say to an extent. And the reason why I say that is I'm going to refer back to your story of how you were playing that game when you were 10, right? And you couldn't get past that thing and it wasn't fun. And then it was just like, all right, I realized that this is frustrating me. Let me just beat this and then I could go back to having fun.
All right, but okay, so imagine invincibility in GTA.
Right.
Imagine playing through all the missions with invincibility. It would lose something,
For
right?
sure.
So I would like part of the fun for me in like playing online game. Like I like to play shooters. Part of the fun for me is hitting a crazy shot
Hmm.
and knowing that I practice. I got to the point where because my aim used to be trash.
Right.
I got to the point where I could hit this crazy shot and it gives me a feeling of accomplishment. And that feels for me, even if I lose a game, like playing well and knowing that I played well on my own accord feels good to me. Like I could lose a game and have fun. I think like we were like it's like a few times we were playing like Apex or Overwatch or something, and we would lose like games upon games in a
Yeah,
row.
yeah.
I wouldn't even care about it because I was having fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely like there's levels to it, right? It's one of those things where for certain people and for what you were just describing, it's one of those cases of you are enjoying the journey more than you're enjoying the outcome, right? You're playing and you're having fun because of what you're learning, you're getting better and all of that. But for some people in certain circumstances, the journey doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if a game lasts 5 seconds or 50 minutes. They're just happy if they win. And again, I think it's one of those things where it varies from person to person and also from like frustration to frustration. It's one of those things where, like you said, there were times when we would play and, even if we were losing back to back, we were having good fights in the game, we were hitting some cool shots. Like, yeah, at the end of the day, we still lost and we died, but we had a good time because we were pushing our skill boundaries, right? But then there were also those nights when we were just trash. We were just dying. I mean, you were like, I think I'm done. I think I'm gonna call it. And I was like, yeah, that's it. For us, we didn't take it any further and say, all right, I'm gonna cheat. Yeah, also because of potential repercussions that come along with that. But we were just like, I'm gonna just come off and I'm gonna leave this game alone for 2 days, and I'm gonna come back and then see if I still like it.
Yeah. But in that situation, right, we only can do that because we know we're having an off day. When you're cheating, you don't know if you're having an off day. You'll never be able to tell if you're having an off day or not because all these are on days.
That's a good point. So maybe it's one of those cases where cheaters in general are just they are so certain that they're so shit. Like they're like, yeah, I don't think I can do anything to get better at this. So I'm just going to cheat all the time.
No, man.
I mean, I'm not trying
No.
to say like what it should be. I'm just trying to say what the reality probably is for some of the people out there that cheat in online games.
Yeah. But I mean, that's for some people. But it's have other people that I wonder if they just get enjoyment from ruining people. Like if they're just sociopaths.
I mean, I don't even think you have to be a sociopath. I think there are just people who they see that as a thing to do. Like I had one coworker. He was like, "Oh man, I'm ready to get on Call of Duty this weekend and then just trash talk some 15-year-olds." And I'm like, he was like, "Dude, I like back in high school, man. I was the toxic one, man. I'm telling you right now." And like he took the role as the villain and he had fun with it. I definitely think that there are people out there who is like, yo, I'm just here to ruin some people's nights. And it's like I don't think that they have to be bad people, so to say. But
No, you're a bad person. Yeah, but yeah,
I
continue.
mean, it's just like they're playing a role. It's the Stanford prison experiment. You ever heard about the Stanford Prison Experiment?
Lost me. You lost me.
So I'm gonna just break it down real quick. Stanford Prison Experiment. Bunch of Stanford students were gathered for an experiment where half of the people play prisoners, half the people play guards, right? And it was kind of like a moral experiment where, all right, you put I think it was supposed to last for 2 weeks or something like that. So it's essentially you're giving half of this group the power to essentially rule over another half, right? And even though these people went in, there were quote unquote normal people, they very quickly turned into savages where they were very like treating the other people very badly and so on. And they were genuinely kind of enjoying it. And it got to the point where, and again, we're not talking about just like regular people on the street. We're talking about Stanford students. We're talking about well-educated people here. And it got to the point where they had to stop the experiment early because conditions were getting so bad, where guards were just treating the prisoners so badly because of that power. So I
Hmm.
think it's a similar thing when it comes to certain people. You know, it's like I'm better and I'm gonna make sure everybody knows I'm better and I'm gonna treat them like the plebs they are.
Hmm.
I really think it's a dark part of the human psyche that does exist in a lot of people.
Yeah. It's like the people who mean me.
I mean, it's a good thing I don't May all the. I mean, I like playing May
Wait, you like playing me?
when I'm frustrated.
Oh my god.
It's the dark part of this. I just said this. It's the dark part. You know, it's like all right. You know, if I want to win, I'm gonna play May.
Oh god. That's the devil. You're literally going to the devil.
How can she be the devil? She's made of ice.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's enough about cheats. We've spoken about cheats. Like, let's jump into some mods and so on now. So, we spoke about cheats, but mods are, unlike cheats, mods, generally speaking, are not features that can be in games. So, like we were saying earlier with Grand Theft Auto, Need for Speed, you know, the Konami code and so on, there were certain codes put into the game by developers, whether it, you know, it might not have been specifically for what people end up using it for, but they were put there. Mods are different. They're features that are oftentimes added by a dedicated community who really love a game. And mods they've completely revamped, some have completely revitalized, some have brought games back from the dead, some have made unplayable games playable.
Yeah.
Just this week we saw what was it?
It was a GTA Vice City mod in Grand Theft Auto 5.
Right.
And it's like when you look through the mod itself, apparently they've been working on this mod since like the year after GTA 5 came out. They've been
Damn.
working on it for a long time because it's like a full revamp, like a full rework. It's almost like a remastering of GTA Vice City.
Right.
They went all out with this, yo.
So there are different types of mods, and that's what we would call a total conversion mod. It's essentially a mod of an existing game. So this game being GTA 5, and replaces most, if not all, of the like artistic aspects or assets in the original game. So, and sometimes it can even change aspects of gameplay, but in this case, it's most likely just like a total conversion of the visuals, right? Where the city is now Vice City, right?
Yeah, it's like GTA 5 is set in Los Angeles, I believe, and this one is Miami, well, Vice City, Miami in the 80s. And they even have like some missions from the original game. Not all of them, but it's not the original game.
That's dedication. I mean, when you think about it, you know, an entire studio, you know, Rockstar, if they wanted to remaster Vice City, that would take a while.
That will take a long time. And this was this was a mod team. This like mod teams are usually like when you're talking about modders, it's usually a guy. A mod team is like 5 people.
Yeah.
That and they're not like you don't get anything for it. People don't usually pay for mods. You don't get anything other than like props. It's like, oh cool. That's all you get. So they're doing it just because they love the game or they love doing it. It's like a hobby.
Yeah, and the thing also that comes down to about paying for mods is even the legality of mods in itself is heavily debated because it's one of those things where sometimes mods can violate what's called the DMCA, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, or it could even just, what do you call it, violate the end user license agreement. So you know how most of the times if you buy a game and you start a game, it has that like, do you agree? And it's just like, okay, yes, just get this shit out of my face, let me play. And even just clicking that yes, there might be a clause in there that just says you cannot mod this game. And if you violate that, so the legality of mods is debated even before we reach to the whole paying for mods, you know, because now it's a
Mm-hmm.
case of, yes, the person who made the mod, but if the person who made the game that the mod goes into doesn't consent for it to be used in the game, who does the payment go? Who should the payment go to? Like, should a part of it go to the original creator? Yeah, all of
Well,
that.
yeah, because it's not their IP. It's not the
Exactly.
modder's IP.
Exactly.
Like they created the mod, but the mod is not of their IP to begin with.
Right. But then there's also the argument of fair use. You know, it's like I bought this game, I paid for it. Do I not own this game after I bought it?
Mm, well, yeah, I guess. But with online games, it's tricky, especially.
With online, for sure.
Yeah, but for single player games, because the company still has a reputation to uphold, right? They don't want anything affecting their product. It's kind of like a remix.
Yeah.
Like if you release a song and you release a remix and someone you didn't give the person the authority to use that remix, to use your song to remix in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really like the style of it or the sound of it. I would say that you should be able to go to them and say like, you know what, I don't really like what you do with this. Like a lot of the times, people would like you make a video like a remix of a song or something, or like a parody of a song or something,
Right.
and put it on YouTube. A lot of people just put the original song name,
Ah,
right?
right.
So maybe that would be the first thing they find,
Mm-hmm.
and they listen to it, and because it is your IP, it could also how the public receives you, because that's not actually you, that's not what you put out.
So one specific example that comes to mind when I think about that is and I remember for a while people were arguing about this because it happened especially in the music industry. So we're just using the music industry as like a as just an example slash reference point because you know remixes, it's a big part of the music industry. Mike Posner, when he made, or Posner, however you pronounce his last name,
I have no idea.
when he
Yeah.
made that song, I Took a Pill in Ibiza,
Mm-hmm.
the song that everybody knows is actually the remix. Chances are, if you know that song, you know the remix,
Yeah, yeah.
the C remix, SEEB remix.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just for an example, the remix has 1.1 billion views, whereas the original has 38 million. So, when someone types in "I took a pill in Ibiza," the remix comes up over the original song. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things where, again, I think it's one of, like, he did technically allow the remix to happen. Like, I don't know if they collaborated, but he got wind of it after a while and he was fine with it. But it was one of those things where if he didn't know, would he then take this song down? Would he, how does that work? Because again, it does kind of have to do with his image, and it's not necessarily fair use because it is his intellectual property. So,
Yeah, and for me, that's the thing with modding. Like I like mods. Like I really like mods, especially like mods that makes the game look better than it actually is.
yep.
Like I think I mentioned in a previous episode that I tried Fallout for briefly,
Hmm.
but the only reason I tried Fallout is because there was a mod that made the game look better. Because just originally how Fallout 4 looks, I don't like how it looks. It's like bland and gray.
Right.
I don't really like the style that much, and the graphics for me were just like whatever. They're pretty average. But I see that someone put out a mod that really improve this. I was like, yo, I'll try this.
Yeah, that's an overhaul mod. I think it's just a visual overhaul mod. So it's not necessarily changing the gameplay or aspects of the game itself, just the look, the graphics of it.
Yeah, but that, I forget what was the original point I was trying to make.
My bad.
That's cool. Oh god, what you were saying? You were saying something about the IP, and you were talking about like personal, like the remix being better than the original.
Right.
It kind of goes both ways. In that, if my mod makes your game better, should you pay me for the sales that I bring in?
That's a valid point, because it really is a case of, if I am bringing popularity to the game and I am adding to it, then I should, in a sense, be treated as part of the development team.
You bring in value to the game.
Right. You see, for example, with the game, one of my favorite games in VR, Beat Saber. And the reason why that is such a touchy topic is because Beat Saber itself is the intellectual property of Beat Games. Now, mods in the game allow you to then add the intellectual property of other people's into someone else's intellectual property. So it's like, you see how tricky that gets? Where it's like, now I'm technically infringing on two people's intellectual property, but I'm not taking the brunt of it. If that person goes to Beat Games and says, why is this in your game? Like, how do they respond to that? It's like, well, we didn't do it though, you know? And it's like, yeah, but this is your game. And it's like, yeah, but, and it becomes a really tricky area. And especially in a game where, for example, Beat Saber was, I think, one of the first VR titles to sell 1 million copies or something like that. Some insane. I think Boneworks also joined that club recently, and Superhot and so on. So it's just one of those really tricky areas where this game is selling because of the mod community. But the mod community is infringing on the intellectual property of people outside of the development community by adding it to the game. So it's one of those things that it sucks, because the main reason I play that game, and the main reason that game even has replayability, is because of the mod community. Like, even just recently, I added in different cameras. So normally when you pull up Beat Saber, so like, you know, you're wearing the headset, but if you want other people to see it, they can also look at it on your computer screen, because it'll show you the view of what you're seeing in the headset. But then there's a mod called Camera Plus, where you can then essentially place a camera in the same space that you're in VR. And if you don't add in an avatar, it'll just show you like the lightsabers moving and so on. But it'll be from an angle other than your first person view. But then there's a cool mod where you can literally add in an avatar. So of course I'm an anime character. Why wouldn't I be?
Of course.
And so now it's a case of, you're looking at an anime character in this world being played by you, you know, doing the movements that you're doing. So it's one of those things where, honestly, the mod community is what made Beat Saber, Beat Saber. It's what made it good.
I mean, you could say the same for like Skyrim.
For sure. The mod and meme community around Skyrim is what made Skyrim Skyrim.
Yeah. So I guess you don't. It makes sense for the companies just to take either a hands-on approach or a hands-off approach.
Yeah.
Like nothing in between.
It's one or the other.
Yeah. It's either they say, well, yes, well, we're not going to allow any mods in our game whatsoever, or they just like, you know, we don't even know what mods are.
Right. It's like, never heard about it. No, our games are just selling. It's just that good. I don't know what you're talking about. We don't deal in that underground stuff, man.
So that just in case someone mods something and someone says, yo, you know, I saw this person is using this in your game, and that's my IP, they could just have that deniability just to say, well, I don't know what you're talking about.
Did you actually know that Valve in 2015 implemented a paid mod feature onto Steam?
A paid mod?
Yeah.
What does it do?
So it's not a mod itself, but it is essentially just the way how your like games would have add-on sections where you can buy certain add-ons and so on. it had a mod section where you can buy certain mods for certain games. The first game that implemented this feature was actually Skyrim, Elder Scrolls 5. So the mod community apparently had a severe, like, they lashed out against very hardly because all of a sudden there was a huge influx of complaints of overpriced mods. It became a situation of people who didn't even make certain mods started putting those mods on the Steam store and charging exorbitant prices for it. So it's like one of those things where even if a company takes a hand-on approach, it could end up, unfortunately, it all comes down to money, right? Who's getting paid? It even became a case of new modders would start modding existing mods and then publishing them.
It's a mod of a mod. Yeah. A game that I see that happen in a lot is PES. I don't know if anyone plays
Oh yeah,
Pro Evolution Soccer.
Pro Evolution, yeah.
Yeah. Because they don't have a lot of licenses for, like, they don't have the licenses that FIFA does. So they don't have things like certain teams or just like certain leagues on the whole or players. So the mod community would make these teams, but they'll have like filler teams in place of them.
Right, teams that resemble them
Yeah.
but aren't necessarily them, right?
Yeah, so I think instead of Manchester United, they have Manchester Blue, and Manchester Red.
Oh yeah, that's definitely not
Yeah.
that's definitely not Man U or Man City.
Yeah. But like the mod community, they were just like, all right, let's just fix this, update the rosters, update like the faces if they need to, and the team information and stuff. But then on top of that mod, you would have people saying like, well, I really like the look of this stadium, but I don't want to like disable this mod to enable this mod because I still want the licenses, right?
Right.
So you would have people mod on top of mod on top of mod.
Oh my god. I can see how that could become messy.
It got to a point, like I remember playing an older version of PES, like it may have been like 2016 or something like that. The original game was like about, I want to say somewhere around 20 gigs maybe. Mine was 70.
Jeez, you're telling me mods added 50 gigs?
Yup.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Because it might sound like a simple thing just to change the team names, but they actually have to like copy the roster and make new rosters. So just that mod
Right.
alone was like in the game, whatever the size of the roster file is, double that. And
Damn.
in a football game, roster is like, and the player faces and player movement and all that. That's like most of them.
That's like 90% or 80%, something like that.
And then there was stadiums. Like, okay, you don't have the right to use the stadium, man. So they have to mod that stadium into the game.
Right, so that way the modded teams can actually use those stadiums.
Yeah. So it got to a point where, and I didn't even have that much mods. I just had a mods that made the grass a bit nicer. And,
Yeah.
well, of course, the licenses, because who wants to play Manchester Blue? I can see.
So like quality of life mods.
Yeah. And just that alone added a lot into the game and made the game really laggy and glitchy as well.
I was gonna say that sounds like it's gonna be super slow.
Yeah.
Because like as much shit that I can give games for being laggy, they're really complicated. And once you start messing around with certain things and crisscrossing and all of that, like, it becomes a case of, it's not even your system not being able to run the game. It's literally like the game is just not running properly because the code isn't running properly.
It's just too much shit in a way.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things where I really hope it stays in that gray area where companies can't necessarily like come and waltz in and take down mods, because it's like, I really think it can kill a huge sector of gaming,
Yeah. The modding community is like I'm not part of it, but I love them,
Oh yeah, like I have major respect for modders out there. And that's why also anytime it gets me mad when I see people complain about a mod not working properly. It's like
Yo, did
this mod doesn't have to exist.
exactly. They're doing this because they're not even as a service. They're not even doing it as a service to you. They're doing it
Hmm.
because they want to. Because
Yeah,
they like modding the game, and they only sharing it with you because they thought, you know what, people might enjoy this too.
exactly.
They didn't have to share it. Just calm down.
Yeah. So like major props to modders out there, whether you're just a beginner or whether you've been doing it for a long time. Thank you. You make the communities better. You know what? What one game I actually want to try is that is apparently just it's a pure mod itself. Well, it's a sandbox game. You ever heard about Gary's mod or Gmod?
Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah.
Man, the so I know I've never heard about it. This thing came out back in like 2005.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been around for a long time. It's a sandbox game, a physics-based sandbox game to be specific, and its base game mode has no objectives. You spawn in on this open map type area, and you have a bunch of assets that you can drop in, whether it be ragdolls. And again, it has a physics engine with it, so you can kind of do whatever you want. And then you could add certain, essentially, rules and all kinds of different stuff to essentially create a game within the game. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because I saw probably like a couple of weeks ago a Beat Saber mod. So they built Beat Saber in Gary's mod, which was insane to me.
Wait, Gary's mod is still going today?
It's still going strong
Wow.
15 years later.
Wow.
14, 2006, yeah. So, yes, people can make entire other games. I think there's even if you can't play Minecraft or if you can't get the official version of Minecraft, there is a Minecraft equivalent in Gmod that is essentially the same thing.
Yeah. Gary's mod has been around for a while, yo. Gotta appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. So shout out to Gary Newman for creating that. Are there any mods that you use right now?
Currently, like something I used to do, but I don't do anymore. It's just because of convenience. Is
Mm,
like instead of buying the new FIFA every year, I used to just mod the
the old
the old
one.
one. It's like I'm not gonna buy the game just to get updated rosters, you know. Like if I
Right,
think the update isn't worth it, I was like, yeah, I just get a mod, put in new rosters, continue
right,
playing the same game. But since I have Origin access now, I'll just wait until the next FIFA comes out.
right. I mean, since I think for me, I only use one modded game, which is Beat Saber. And that's just because I think 90% of games I have now are online.
Yeah,
So
same.
it's one of those things where you just can't mod it. Once you connect to the internet and you have all these other people, if the simple reason for that is if I make a car and my own custom car, I put it into Forza and it has all its own custom stats and stuff. Let's just say I find a way to do that and it runs fine on my computer, whatever. But then if I go online, first of all, the server's gonna look at my files and be like, "What the fuck is this?" It's gonna be like,
They'll be like, "Hey Jim, did you approve this shit?" It's like,
and like 99% of other games are gonna be like, "Yeah, we don't know what you're talking about. Get that shit out of here, bro." So and like even let's say you even say I make it so far as to get into the game. Nobody else has the asset, so
exactly.
everybody else is just gonna be seeing a floating name like flying past them. Like, yo, what just happened? Like my game, something passed me. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
The ghost car. It
Oh,
would be
you
interesting though if what.
could get that would be a great body, yo, just the invisible car.
Hey, I mean, one day if modding ever gets accepted, fully mainstream, hey, that might be a legit mod to have.
I think like modern just kinda I think modding just kinda got quieter just because there's been less single player games to mod.
Yeah,
And it,
and I also think it's in part two where people don't want to bring it to the forefront too much because you start attracting too much attention, you attract the wrong attention,
True.
you get shut down.
Yeah. But I mean, it looks like single player games are coming back a bit. So
Yeah,
we'll see if people, if that discussion ever comes back up again, if people start modding more heavily because there's more single player games, and then see what the developers do about it.
that's very true. I mean, and then the thing too is modding has generally speaking been fairly exclusive to the PC community. As someone who is in the console community for so long, the closest thing we can have to modding is cheats. Again, we're talking about cheats that were built into the games. And again, there are very few games that have cheats built into them anymore. So, yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, I'm sure that there are external devices that can add cheats or add mods to games, but it's not the same. It's not as easy on PC. There's a lot more hoops to jump through.
No, yeah, like the closest thing I could think of on a console is action replay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There was a whole line of cheap devices essentially that can edit the memory or the software or inject lines of code that can allow for cheating. I know, for example, for me, again, I think I mentioned this on a previous episode. One of our friends took my DS when I had Pokemon back in the day. He had an action replay, boom, added in some other Pokemon and a bunch of other stuff. And there are some unusual side effects where my character changed genders. So, but that's part of it.
It's like, it's 2019. Oh no, sorry.
It wasn't back then.
You're just ahead of your time. You're just ahead of your time. You're being progressive.
Oh, but yeah, I think we'll end it there, right?
Yeah, I think we covered everything.
We covered a decent chunk about it, I definitely liked talking about, I guess, the morals and the ethics and just kind of the thought processes behind cheating. That was an interesting conversation, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening. Follow us over on Twitter, gamingti2. Follow us on Twitch too. This is being streamed live right now. So if you ever want to come and catch us live, head over to twitch.com/gaming_ti. Give us a shout out there. And then we also do have a Discord server up now. Again, pretty empty. We're okay with it. We know we're not out there yet. But if you ever want to join in and also see some sales that we might post, if we ever see anything that comes up that looks interesting, we have a channel for that. So yeah, join us over on Discord anyway. But all of the links for everything I just mentioned and everything that we might have referenced or discussed will be down below in the description or wherever you're watching this or listening to this from. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Later.
Peace.